While everyone in the world celebrating 2026 New Year, people in Iran suffering and fighting for their freedom in the streets. To explain what happened and what's going on, let me go back a little bit and with a flashback, explain how it happened, how it started, and what's going on. Back in 2022, almost a little bit more than 3 years ago, when the molarity policy in Iran killed a young girl called Mahsa Jina Amini, woman life freedom started in Iran. People, they came to the streets across the country and they started fighting for freedom. However, government finally could manage with the mass of reputations, with the mass of executions, and creating a fear condition. However, a year later, after October 7th terrorist attack, the gap between Iranian people and the government, or better to say Islamic government based in Iran, this gap started to become wider and wider. While government was increasing its support from terrorist attacks and terrorist groups, actually, like Hamas, Hezbollah, and Houthis, the people during their different strikes across the country, like one day the teachers, other day the drivers, and so on, the people, they were coming together, they were loudly telling the government, and they made their position clear, telling neither Lebanon nor Gaza, I will give my life to our country. And also, they were empathizing that our enemy is here. They lie that it's USA. During all these years, economic conditions get worse and worse, but government, instead of supporting the economy and solve the people's problem, they were busy with their personal issues. When I'm talking about the personal interests, mostly two things coming first. Number one, they were sending, and they are still sending the government budget and the government's money, the people's money, to the terrorist groups across the world, especially Houthis, Hamas, and Hezbollah. And the rest they are using for their personal interests, such as they are sending it for their family who living abroad. The family member of more than 90% of leaders of Islamic State based on Iran are living out of the country, especially in Canada, Australia, European countries, and even in the United States. These conditions not just didn't solve the problems, but increased the issues, increased all the problems more and more every day. So while they were sending this money for the terrorist group and their family members across the country, across the world, they had no enough money to invest in the infrastructures and especially in the energy sector. So the country which owned the second largest energy inventories in the whole world, they have the energy crisis. So peoples have been suffering of not having electricity during the summer and not having the gas during the winter. And that caused many industries to be closed. Many industries couldn't have enough energy sources to continue their business. So they're closed. And that's one also another reason that was actually is or still is another reason of increasing this crisis, or better say, economic and energy crisis across the country. While all these issues and concerns were continuing, the 12 days war between Israel and Islamic State based in Iran increased all the problems and issues. Israel could manage to kill the army leaders and military leaders and also the nuclear scientists at the first days. And on that, in the last day, with the US support, they could destroy our nuclear infrastructures in Iran. And that was the beginning of another crisis. While economic crisis continues, the government was actually, we can say better to say, government was forced to increase because they didn't have enough income from the oil. Actually, they had enough income from the exporting the oil and energy, but they were using this, as mentioned, for the terrorist groups, not for the government and not for the people. So to have enough budget, the government was forced to increase the tax and also the energy prices which they were selling to their own people. This increasing the tax and also the energy prices suddenly increased the inflation much more than before, especially thought it was happening in a country who suffering from the high inflation, more than 30% inflation for years. Just imagine. more than 30% inflation, which was continuing for years. And now this increasing the tax and energy price increased this inflation even further. So what's the condition right now? The currency is the weakest currency across the world and losing its value every day more and more. Now, $1 causing 100 more than actually 140,000 tuman, or it's very weird to say 1.4 million, 1.4 million real, the Iranian official currency. So this is the currency condition. Inflation officially says around 30%, but in fact it's more than 60 or 70%. There is an energy crisis. Industries have not enough energy to continue their production. So there is no production. The currency is weak. The people cannot manage to live, neither for their salary, neither for even the people who they have when they own their own business. Their income is not enough to support the family. Maybe you can do it if you are connected somehow to the government, but normal people, they cannot continue living normally. As a result, businessmen mostly they closed their business. Actually, they were forced to close their business. Sellers they closed their shop, and the protests. This time, the protests start from the markets, from the bazaar, where the people. I mean, just imagine you have a shop, and if you close your shop, you can gain more than if you sell the product you own. So the people started to coming outside, and this time demonstrations started from the market, from the economic activities. And now, while I'm talking with you, it's the fifth day that people are outside in the street and they are fighting for their freedom. They are fighting to have the normal life. But what makes this time or this demonstration different with others that we had so far during these years? People in the last 47 years already learned clearly that no reform can solve their problems. That's why the people now they are seeking for the changing the regime. And now, not just only they know what they don't want, which is the Islamic regime based in the country. They already know what they want. People in the streets across the country clearly calling for Prince Reza Pahlavi to come back to the country and lead this movement to change to make a fundamental changes in the country. Now the question is, while Iranian in the street fighting for their freedom, while they are giving their life to get their freedom back, are you in the Middle East and whole world ready for free Iran?